Alright, so spoiler warning. In my games against Stompy, I took those lessons that I learned about playing very carefully to heart, and I ended up almost timing out against Jupiter Brando. Jupiter Blando is another player that I played before, is also very good. And it looks like they're playing either Boros Bully or just plain old Boros Monarch. So kind of a weird play from them. I thought I paused it. Okay. So I had a faeries here turn 1. I decided to play that turn 1 just because I feel like it sets me up the most. It sets me up for Spell Stutter Spite. I could counter something for 2. And I don't think Mantle of Tides sets me up quite as well. And Ponder, I mean, I can play Ponder at any point in the game. Faeries here is definitely the best turn 1 play. I can't remember what I scried to the top. Actually, I'm going to go back, because I feel like the first part of the game is the most important. So this hand's obviously a keep, right? It's got 2 lands, it's got 2 fairies, augur, and some goodies. So I draw another land. And another land's actually pretty good. So I draw another land. Counter spell, dispel. So I know kind of that I'm playing against Boros. So I think I put the counter spell on top. And since I'm going to draw a counter spell next turn, I think I also leave the dispel on top just so that my augur, which I'm almost certainly going to play next turn, is guaranteed to hit. I don't think I need to leave up counter magic next turn, because if I'm playing against Boros, the earliest turn I want to hold up counter magic is maybe like turn 4, in case they play their monarch card. So I think I top both of those. And they actually play a very, very fast Skyfisher, which I imagine they're afraid of Ninja here, because I could just Ninja this guy. Also, having a 2/3 thing in the air is probably just really good against fairies in general. So I think I can't really go back, but I think what I saw was Dispel and 2 other lands. So excuse me. So I think I just grabbed the Dispel. Like, what else am I gonna do, right? And luckily I've got this other land, so I don't really need to look for land. So I decided to ponder looking for more land. Because I think what I've got going on right now is pretty good. I decided to shuffle, I think. I can't remember if I saw this off of the ponder. Maybe. But one of the reasons I put this in my deck was I wanted to see how good it is against Boros. And you'll see how good it is in a second. If I remember right, I'm about to make a really, really goofy looking attack. So I think about bolting this guy, but I decide not to. And I probably should have, because, like, what have I got to lose, right? So I don't attack here because they're leaving up strands. Like, if they've got 7 cards in their hand and 3 mana. If they're not doing anything, I get a little suspicious. Although, to be fair, they could just have a hand that's like a lot of stuff plus like Prism, plus like no Prism that's like 4 Glint Hawks. And they want to get value off their Glint Hawks, which. Alright, so now I actually bolt this guy, and they did have a Strands. So I probably should have just Dispelled there. Because I'm pretty sure they would have flashed it back. Although, wait, come to think of it, if they tap their guy, they can't block. And I want them to block. I don't have a ninja, so there's really no point unless they do block. Alright, so I'm about to make this attack. I've got Mantle of Tides, which protects my creature if they do have a Strands. And they have an Electrickery, which I think I Spell Stutter. And I'm wondering whether I should tap both red mana, or both blue mana, or red mana. Basically, I'm wondering if they're going to use Strands, and maybe they won't, because it's just one creature, right? So they block my guy. I Fists of Flame, and then equip up my Mantle of Tides, because this drew me my second card. So that's kind of what I was planning with this deck when I did this. It looks like the dumbest attack in the world, right? Because it could just block both my guys. But anyway, they drew their Prophetic Prism. So finally, they probably only had 1 Prism in their hand. And I was leaving up counter magic, so they were like, I don't want to play a Prism. What if they counter it? But now I can attack like this and see they block, and I've got Brainstorm, and I could just flip this over to this guy. And I drew a ninja off the Brainstorm, so I'm feeling pretty good. I love this card, Mantle of Tides, by the way. Like, I already love Brainstorm. Yeah, and I counter their protection spell. This leaves me vulnerable to... I don't even know what it leaves me vulnerable to, because I have another one of these. I love how this card interacts with this card and this card. I think Brainstorm, Fist, Mantle is really strong. So they play Palace Sentinels, which it feels like I'm just going to take the Monarch back from them. I don't really know what they're planning to do with it, but maybe they're just hoping to get lucky. Like, maybe they have a ton of removal spells in their hand, and they're just going to maul my board. But at least this turn, I should be able to get it back. Also, noteworthy is that they played Palace Sentinels, but they didn't know that I had Augur. I think I might have just drawn Augur off the top, which was a pretty lucky draw. Because if they have like 3 prismatic strands in their hand, sure, I can take the Monarch, but I'm not going to block their Palace Sentinels with my ninja, right? Although, granted, I had Fists of Flame, so maybe I could have? Like, Fist of Flame, Mantle of Tides. One thing that I made a mistake with this game is I tried to equip Fist of Flame on my opponent's turn. I tried to equip Mantle of Tides with Fist of Flame, and it doesn't work because you have to draw multiple cards. Because you haven't drawn your card for the turn on your opponent's turn. But anyway, I get a pretty lucky Augur. And I get a Scred. I just Scred this guy off right away. because I'm kind of afraid of Palace Sentinels, or not, Prismatic Strands. They're both PS. So they try and bolt my ninja, so I counterspell it, and I attack with everything. And I get the monarch, and I get my card off ninja, and I get to equip the ninja too. I figure they probably don't have multiples of these main deck. And they kill it with a journey, and then they have a battle screech, which is still pretty good, I think, but I have this. And I have ponder, so I can draw multiple cards. I think I got a counterspell accumulated knowledge land. So I can equip this. So my spell stutter doesn't die. I can attack with everything, I think. But I think I just attack with these two. Yeah, because that's like the safest attack. I don't really want to blow this because I know they've got more tokens coming. Luckily, we drew the counter spell. And I have to imagine they've got... Well, they don't have strands in their hand anymore because... yeah, because they have no cards in their hand. So I guess they didn't have strands, but... It seems like their hand was just a bunch of 4 mana stuff. So they drew the core sanctifiers and they're able to kill my mantle. Which sucks, but I trade my guy off. And this makes it so they don't have 3 creatures. They can't flash back, but they do get the monarch. We have accumulated knowledge, and we drew evolving wilds, which is pretty bad. But we drew augur counterspell, which is kind of nice. And we don't even need evolving wilds to shuffle stuff, but we play it anyway just to thin out our deck. And we try and take the monarch back, and they have a pretty obvious block. But once again, we get him with the fists. We've drawn 2 cards off ponder this turn, so it's a 4-3. I'm able to just barely take back the monarch. They try and kill my spell stutter, but I gal blast it, or my counter spell it. And I guess they don't have another battle screech, because if they did have another battle screech, I feel like... yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is kind of loose. Because if they had another battle screech, they could battle screech, but I just didn't want them to take back the monarch. And I feel like they're not playing Rally the Peasants. Just because they're playing all these other weird one-offs. So I feel like this is probably pretty safe. I would trade my guy for their bird token and then keep the monarch for the rest of the game. Hopefully find another ninja. Yeah, Augur is so good though. This card's nuts. Okay, so game 2. We've got 16 minutes on our clock, so we did spend quite a lot of time on that game 1, but I had a good time. I had a good time fisting my opponent out of the game. So I've learned from my burn matchup, just always play Augur turn 1 or turn 2. I get another accumulated knowledge, so I'm not sure if we get to see the power of accumulated knowledge this game. I go for the counter spell on the Skyfisher. Skyfisher is a good card on its own, and if it can pick up a Prophetic Prism, it's just bananas. So I figure that's more important than using my AK or brainstorming. My hand's already pretty good, so I don't really need to brainstorm a null right on time. So I leave up Fairy Trickery. They have a Palace Sentinels, so I counter it. And then they play a land plus Glint Hawk. So they don't have Pyroblast in their hand, or else I'm pretty sure they would have Pyroblasted the counterspell on the Skyfisher. So Glinthawk's a pretty good draw. They get to draw a card and get a 2/2. I draw another counterspell, which is pretty lucky. They're probably not well, they might be expecting it. I really haven't had a chance to play 2 counterspells in the turn, and I played a counterspell every turn. But I think I cast a null just on a Prophetic Prism. It's not really going to get any better than that. They don't really play any Haymaker artifacts. So I accumulated knowledge, and then I play Augur Bolas. And I get the Fist of Flame that I put back on top with Brainstorm. And then I shuffle my deck. And I play a one of these. And I've still got Counterspell up. Probably shouldn't have counterspelled this, but I did anyway. Like, it draws a card, sure. But I should have probably just let it resolve. But they play Reaping the Graves, which they get 2 things back from it, which is probably, I don't know, maybe that's as good as they think they're going to get. I draw, let's see, I had an AK, so I AK twice. Yeah, this Skyfisher's kind of a problem. I see 2 ninjas. So I can't. I should have thought about this a little bit more, I think, because I should have attacked with Augur, because I've already drawn 3 cards off the accumulated knowledge, and if they block, I could have fists. Well, wait, if they block, I could fist, but I can't ninja. But I think it was still probably correct not to probably correct to attack first, because I'm not blocking. I don't know why I didn't attack, and I don't have a counter spell up. Yeah, one of the awkward things about this deck is even if you trample over, you can still you can't really ninjutsu. It has to be an unblocked creature. So yeah, they get their prism value. They just draw a ton of cards and play a bunch of dudes. I definitely should have attacked. Yeah, I definitely should have attacked that turn. That was just a mistake. But then I attacked this turn, and now they're like, what the hell's going on? Right, they didn't even block with their Glinthawk, but they were probably thinking I had one of these, and I do. And I decided not to use it. I think it's probably better to use it defensively, just because I'm at 12 already, and they could very easily burn me out. So I put my Sierra on the battlefield. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna block something, and then Fist. And I haven't drawn any cards this turn because it's not my turn, so I definitely should have blocked one of these. Yeah, that's a pretty mad mistake, but you can see how good it would have been to be able to trade with one of these, and then AK, I say rip in chat. Oh, there's chat. Why is chat here and not there? It wasn't there in the other games. Alright, I'm gonna hide chat for a sec. So they play Glinthawk, and they play Prism. Yeah, this is not looking good. So we have AK, we could draw 3 cards off it, which is a lot. Also, we have Deep Analysis in our deck for some reason. That probably shouldn't be in there. Should probably be like a Blue Blast. I took out all my removal just because I want more counter spells. Yeah, and they have the strands. Pick it up. 10 minutes for game 3. Alright, so in the sideboard, I did not side in the blue blast, and I left out the annul also. I think on the play, it's better to have more lightning bolts because it's more aggressive, but maybe the annul deserves a spot just because they only play maybe 7 cantrip artifacts. I can't remember what we saw from them game 1. I think it was just prophetic prism. So maybe they just play prisms and that's it. But yeah, so I don't know, maybe this should be there instead of lightning bolt. But lightning bolt's pretty good. It can go face and we're being aggressive, so if they're going to waste their time playing artifacts, picking them up again, playing them again, maybe we could get them. So I'm going to play first. This hand looks nutty good. I'm going to play the Evolving Wilds, fetch, get an island, play my mountain, play my Augur Bolos. And then on turn 3, I could either use this to get an island and leave a counterspell, or I could use this ninja, or I could Fist of Flame, depending on what I feel like. So they play their tap land, so they're not going to pyro this guy, which is nice. This is probably the best card in the matchup, I think. I don't know, it's close. So I already have a counterspell in my hand, and in this matchup, it's always good to have extras. But by the same token, accumulated knowledge combos with the accumulated knowledge in my hand. I think in this case, I take the counterspell just because they've only got 2 mana next turn, maybe less. So next turn, I can just attack, hold up counterspell, and then counter their play, and then the next turn I can counterspell again, which seems pretty sweet. So I put counterspell into my hand. So next turn they don't even play anything. So I figure, what do they have in their hand, right? Maybe a lightning bolt? Maybe they don't have prism. I feel like maybe they would play like a Core Skyfisher if they had one. But maybe not. Core Skyfisher picking up a land on the draw is not very good. So I feel like, also notably, they have a mountain. So they probably had this mountain in their opening hand. And this means they probably don't have Pyroblast, but maybe it does. Because I feel like if they played this turn 1, they would have done that anyway. This just, like, playing this turn 1 into this just slows you down. So, either way, I think it means they just have a couple of lands. Playing this turn 3 isn't as big of a deal. So they probably just have this one untapped source. Or just have 2 lands. I'm not sure. But what I am sure about is that I want to get this ninja down. Because even if they bolt it, I still get to pick my augur up. And they do bolt it. And they cycle a step. So they play their prism. I can't counterspell a pyroblast because they're holding 1 up. But I think it's still probably correct to play the augur out. Actually, I'm not sure. I think it might be correct to hold it in my hand. The only counter spell they play is exactly 1 mana, and that's what they're holding up. I think this turn I maybe should have just cycled with Ash Barrens and held up all my instants. But I play the Augur and it resolves. And I draw a Ponder off of it, so yeah. I think maybe I should have some of these, because it's so good against exactly Pyroblast. I think it's probably better than Lightning Bolt, but not totally sure. So, I think, what did I see off this? Fists of Flame? I think I saw Fists of Flame land Accumulated Knowledge. So, I decide to draw the Accumulated Knowledge. This lets me leave a counterspell without it being awkward. And I get my Augur down, which is really nice. And they Pyroblast it. They did have a Pyroblast. So I'm not sure why they didn't just Pyroblast it, but maybe they thought I had a Dispel in my hand, which, granted, if I sideboarded correctly, I probably should have. But no matter, I'm able to shuffle those cards back. And hold up counter spells. So I've got 2 counter spells and 2 AKs, which I think is really just good. I don't really want to counter one of these, even though it's kind of their the crux of the deck. But if they have this, that means that I can usually counter one of these for good value. So, and I have a spell stutter. I could even counter a Pyroblast if they have another like a Pyroblast. So I draw another counter spell, which is sweet. They play Palace Sentinels. I counter it. They don't have a Pyroblast, or maybe they do, and they're playing around like Spell Stutter. But I have another AK. So I play Brainstorm, hoping to find an island, which I do. I can't remember what I put back. But basically, I just want to have as many counter spells up as I can, and I think I can't shuffle, so I think I put like a counter spell on top. I'm debating whether I want to bolt this guy when they don't have strands up. Serrated Arrows is good, but I have the answer to that in Mantle of Tides. But then I realized, since this puts a -1/-1 counter on something, that means it's going to counter my sprites, right? And I could instant speed equip in response, but the counter is still going to be there. So that means that Spell Stutter can only counter a 1 mana spell for the rest of the game. So I think I just counter this. I probably should use Deprive, yeah, because I don't have a land drop. And I know I don't have a land drop because I brainstormed Fist of Flame to the top. So they have a Thraben Inspector, which is great. It's that 1 mana spell I was talking about. So I Fist of Flame thinking that it's going to equip Mantle of Tides, which clearly it's not because it's not my turn. But they resolve their Thraben Inspector. Thraben Inspector is not really a big deal. Yeah, I was just doing it to cantrip. Yeah, that's the reason. No, I really wasn't. It was a mistake. But maybe it was a mistake that actually helped me. So I leave Brainstorm on top because Brainstorm plus Mantle of Tides is a sick combo. They attack me. Let's see if one of the 2 cards left in their hand is any good. And it's not any good. I counterspell the Electricity. They Pyroblast my counterspell. Which, I guess they're afraid of Ninja. which makes sense. Ninja's one of my most powerful cards, and I've been kind of playing as if I have one, and I've only really drawn one ninja the whole game. So, being halfway through my deck, I'm likely to have one in my hand, but I don't have one in my hand. And Fist of Flame is a good card, but it's kind of useless when you don't have creatures. And I'd rather have this Fairy Trickery. So I put it on top and along with a land. So I get my Augur, and I don't even take the Fist. I take Dispel. So I draw a Ninja, which is the best draw I could have drawn. I can Ninja my Augur back. Even if they kill it, I get to pick up my Augur, and then Mantle of Tides can equip to the Ninja if it connects. And I'm leaving up Dispel Fairy Trickery. So I feel pretty good against about this game. I've got 3 minutes left, which isn't very much. Excuse me. It's not very much, but I should be able to. I should be able to make it happen. So I draw Augur. I'm still leaving up Dispel Fairy Trickery. I'm able to take a land that I put on the top of my library with the Ponder, and put it on the bottom of my library. And my opponent's kind of just drawing lands. So I Brainstorm end of turn just to cantrip. I know I'm drawing another one, I think. And I think I just raw Augur. And I attack, and then basically I'm just trying to play fast. I'm not really thinking about what I'm drawing. I have Dispel Fairy Trickery Spell Stutter in hand. I just run out the Spell Stutter just to deal more damage. And again with the Fairy Seer, I put both lands on the bottom. I think I have Deprive in my graveyard, but it doesn't really matter at this point. My board presence is just really strong. Oh, I do put Deprive Sanctuary on top. So I have basically like 4 counter spells. And 2 of these Mantle of Tides. So yeah, I don't know if I made all the correct plays this game, but I think at least this particular game, I think this particular game I played a little better than the other games. There was a mistake with the Fist of Flames, but looking back on it now, I don't know if it was actually a mistake. Just because when you're at board parity, being able to use your cantrips is important. And one of the ways I think of this card is it's sort of like a removal spell that also draws you a card. I think this card's way better than people give it credit for. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in match 3.